You're come ride with Unc real quick to work. Happy Wednesday. I hope you had a great Memorial Day. And let's talk about it, man. Let's get into the discourse that's going on with Deontay Kyle, the stuff that's going on with DDG, the stuff that's going on with goddamn Tory Lanez. Let's talk about it, bro. I've been sitting back, and hell, let's even get into the Diddy. Listen, monsters, right, can look like you, walk among you. Fuck it, let's call them skinwalkers. Somebody that'll get that reference. They can be within your presence, right, every day. These monsters can eat with you. They can talk with you. They can goddamn even go to church with you, right? But once they get behind those closed doors, that's when the true self show. Not everybody is going to have the same experiences with these same people. Hopefully you see where I'm going with this, right? How many times have you seen a relative, a loved one get arrested, right? And then you say, damn, that's crazy. I never thought that, you know what I'm saying, he or she was into stuff like that. That's wild, man. You know, you go and read the details, you read the story, or you listen to it, and you're like, man, that contradicts everything I've seen of this person, right? And that's the reality as black men we have to face. That the presentation of a person that we receive, or perceive, should we say, is not necessarily how they are 100% of the time. A lot of people have adapted to society, have learned the nuances of where and when to show what behaviors, and they manipulate those rules in order to get what they want, all while maintaining a guise. The term is a wolf in sheep's clothing, right? How many times have you been done wrong and felt unheard? And I'm talking to black men, because I look at the demographics. The majority of my Spotify listeners, I think it's like 60 to 65%, are black men. With what's going on, what exactly are you asking yourself when you're internalizing what's happening? Because I think it's very important to, one, look at the entire context, right? And two, internalize appropriately. So Deontay was speaking about being around or seeing, hearing, basically men create or perpetuate behaviors that are unsafe for black men, right? And Deontay is and I'm paraphrasing, I'm not going to directly quote him, but what he's saying when he said black men, you have to be accountable for that, is that the skew is so messed up, right? As far as like men and how black women are treated by black men. Don't get me wrong, there's a hefty portion of black men that are doing the damn thing, doing it correctly, loving, learning, growing, healing, all of that, right? But there's still a hefty portion of people fronting like they are just to get what they want, whether it be sexual, whether it be financial or emotional. You know, trauma bonding is a thing that people are doing, using the struggle or how you grew up in order to gain access to people. And so what Deontay Kyle is saying, men get together and we talk about things, right? We get around, we bullshit, we shoot the shit, and sometimes a conversation may pass, or sometimes you might see a behavior occur when people get comfortable and you mind your business. Deontay Kyle is just saying, in your circles, if you see something, check it. If it continues to happen, remove yourself, point it out, and if that person doesn't fix it or doesn't correct the behavior or make steps to improve themselves, you don't need to hang around that anymore. Because what happens is when you allow violence against anyone, you are essentially consenting to it, right? You wouldn't walk down the street, see a kid getting that ass beat by a white person and be like, oh no, I'm gonna mind my business. No, right? You wouldn't see a white guy mishandling a black woman while people are just looking and just chilling, right? You're gonna act, right? So it's the same exact thing when it comes to us. When you hear a black man say, nah, fuck black women, you know what I'm saying? They always hurt me and all of them up to the same shit. They're like, nah, bro, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, bro, like, why do you think you're dealing with that same type of woman? Challenge thoughts. And that doesn't necessarily have to be physical. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gotta push a nigga, slap a nigga, no shit like that. You could just challenge the thought. Pull the reasoning. And if there is no reasoning behind it and it's just bias, make your adjustments from there. Whatever that may be, you feel me? Because for me personally, drawing out the conversation is powerful, right? Making people understand what they really are saying, even though they don't know they're saying it. Those Freudian slips are real. So if you challenge the thought, you have to draw upon the line of reasoning, especially if it's someone you respect or respects you and understands what you're saying is not targeted. You know what I'm saying? It's not necessarily to attack, but to adjust, to reprimand or heal, you know, to correct. So if you're not hanging around people, you know what I'm saying, that are respect you enough to listen to what you have to say, you need to make adjustments, right? And this is how community is built. For those that say community isn't real. Community isn't real when nobody holds each other accountable, right? When nobody is looking out for nobody. But the instant you can, because I can only speak to black men. It's not my place to go and tell black women what they can, can't, or shouldn't do, right? If they ask my advice, I will offer it then. But as far as how someone should live, I'm not a black woman. I don't move or navigate life with the thoughts and the filters of what I'm doing as a black woman. But as a black man, I can offer my perspective. So going back to those filters, right? If you can have an honest conversation with someone and you get to drawing on the strings and they're honestly focused on improving in your circle, because a lot of times we have these groups of people that are around us through familiarity who aren't interested in advancing, and oh, that is a rat running across the street, that's crazy, who is not interested in growth, who is just content in their emotional, in their psychological state of being, and just don't want to grow. You know, if you're not open to growth, I can't fuck with you. That's just me. My goal is to save the world. And by the world, I mean my people first. You know, because think of it like this. If every person is a strand, right? Is a thread, right? And in order to create a woven weave where we can sustain and protect and build from, they have to be interlocked, right? They have to rely upon each other to become stronger. So if you weave together If you make the adjustments, everybody understands their role. Everybody understands what the greater goal is, what needs to happen, what has to happen, what must happen in order for survival. And then you decide that this is the best course together. Then you can become part of something stronger. The community can be repaired. Right? Then once community is established, once we have a congregation, for me, of men who have an understanding, who are embracing growth, who are embracing education, who are embracing mental health, who recognize emotional intelligence is law, then we can proceed forward, right? Then we can start creating laws. We can rewrite what it is to be masculine. We can rewrite what it is to protect. We can establish, we can have conversations, we can have difficult conversations, we can make adjustments when it comes to child raising or rearing. We can set the standard for ourselves and not let the other people set it for us. You know, like, do you guys ever think that, you know, we see the younger generations who crash out? Do you ever think, like, man, if we could somehow get through and just have guidance, right? And you can't have the perspective of, man, they too far gone, I ain't got the time or patience. Well, if you ain't got the time or patience to invest in the future, then we're doomed. We're literally fucked. Pardon my French, but I mean, I had to say it. So if we can just understand what the motive is, it's not about pandering. It's about healing. It's about fixing what is going wrong. All Deontay Kyle did was point at the leak, right? The black community is bleeding out, and he's just pointing at it like, yo, this can't happen. This can't happen. So I really hope that explains something. Listen, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to repeat it again. You cannot be pro-black without being pro-black woman, bro. It is impossible. I'm not saying you can't be in an interracial relationship. That is a whole nother conversation. What I'm saying is you can't run around here exempting black women from your protection, thinking that you support black people. That's crazy. The instant that you apply extra filters to black women and not to other races of women, you're not pro-black, right? If your protection comes with more conditions for other races, than other races, you feel me? If your protection is based on, you know what I'm saying, the stuff you've experienced growing up, or what you could get out of women, or if somebody didn't tell you thank you when you felt you should have got a thanks. Listen, I'm gonna say this before I go because I'm at work. Listen, you gotta understand what your charity is for. Like, if you're gonna give a thank you or do a good deed or pursue, you know what I'm saying, women, you need to understand and be real with yourself, right? You need to ask yourself, am I doing this for a return of investment, or am I doing this because I want to, right? Am I doing this for the love, for the empowerment, or for this person out of the reward of doing, or am I doing it for myself in order to get something back? Because the latter is manipulation, bro. Right? Common courtesy is common courtesy, but it's not guaranteed. Anyway, it's raining hard as shit. Thankfully, my plants are already planted. I hope you have an amazing day. And I hope you just, before you are so quick to respond, please take a moment to listen and to reflect. And if you disagree, please let me know in the comments so we can have a conversation. And we ain't got to do all this back and forth bashing of black men, challenging masculinity, challenging motives. And listen, if caping for black women is wrong, That's it. That's all I got to say. If it's wrong, I guess I got to do it. Anyway, I got to go. Bye. Oh. Good morning. Oh. Yeah, it's and the sky just opened